Shane Van Gisbergen completes his second Xfinity Series race at Darlington Raceway and finishes in impressive 7th place. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel and welcome back to our video. As I just said a second ago, Shane Van Gisbergen has completed his second Xfinity Series race at Darlington Raceway and finishes in a very impressive 7th position. So at the start of the race, Shane Van Gisbergen qualified in 26th and was about a second off of the pole sitter, that being Christopher Bell. But he got a break early because Matt Benedetto, who was in front of him, who would think started 22nd position, he had to go to the rear of the field, moving Shane up to 24th. Now, early in the race, Shane was making some pretty impressive moves, and it did help the fact that a lot of drivers in front of him started having issues and trouble. Anthony Alfredo had a flat tire at one point. Parker Reslov got stalled on pit road on lap number 4. Other drivers in front of him, Riley Herbst, he had a flat tire and went many laps down. There was a lot of attrition happening early in this race. But he was starting to make a lot of passes. He moved up from 24th to about 15th or 16th early and just started making inroads in ground and continuing to make inroads and wasn't losing positions on the run, which is something that he's kind of struggled throughout the year at. He was starting to actually make passes and move his way up to the front. And eventually, by the end of stage number 1, he was actually almost battling inside of the top 10. Started passing guys like Chase Elliott, got by drivers like Carson Quaffle, passing drivers like Jesse Love, and was starting to move his way up to the front. By the end of stage number 1, he was inside the top 10, or basically around 11th or 12th position. On the white flag of stage number 1, he had a very great run to try to get by Brandon Jones and I believe Chandler Smith, who was starting to fade back, and unfortunately, Shane would make a pretty big mistake. He got behind Brandon Jones. He was trying to bump draft him, it sounded like, down the back straightaway, Darlington, and unfortunately spun him into the inside wall. That brung the caution out. A pretty big mistake by Shane right there, to be honest. Again, that was not intentional by Shane by any stretch of imagination, but you got to be careful what you're doing in that situation, and that could have been avoided. Nonetheless, Shane didn't get any damage from that, and he continued to continue on by being 11th by the end of stage number 1. He came down pit road and basically maintained the track position. Now, early in stage number 2, Kyle Weatherman got in the outside wall really hard. Shane basically still maintained and lost a few positions on the restart. But one of the biggest strengths for Shane throughout this day was his car. While it wasn't as good on the short run, his car was very good on the long run. He started making a lot of inroads in ground and catching a few cars. By the end of stage number 2, Shane was almost inside the top 10 once again, running around 13th to 14th position by the end of stage number 2. He did come down pit road and did unfortunately lose a couple positions, which was very unfortunate for him. And then on the restart to stage number 3, Shane did lose a couple positions. He got trapped behind a couple cars on the restart, but continued to maintain. But like I said, also lost a few positions and was battling guys like Noah Gragson and Carson Quaffle and Chase Elliott. But as the run continued on in stage number 3, Shane really started making rounds once again. He started passing cars. He was half a second quicker. He was passing guys in front of him like Ryan C. And he got himself basically with about 20-30 laps to go. He was catching guys like Austin Hill who were having tire issues and was starting to fade back. He was catching Jesse Love, Chase Elliott, guys like Sammy Smith at the end of the race, and he started making a lot of passes and continued to move forward. He passed one car, Austin Hill, got inside the top 10, got by Chandler Smith, who was fading back. He got himself up inside the top 10, eventually got himself up to 8th position, and got past Jesse Love. Then he got behind Chase Elliott and was running him down and actually moved himself up to 7th position. Chase tried to keep up for a little bit on Shane, but Shane started to pull away a little bit more. And he was actually running down Sammy Smith for 6th position. But then everything changed late in the race with about 5 laps to go when AJ Allmendinger hit the outside wall, of course, who is a teammate of Shane Van Gisbergen's. AJ began in the outside wall after having a flat tire with 5 to go, and unfortunately his chances would be over. They would bring the cars down pit road. Had that not happened, Shane would probably finish around 5th in the race, but because of that tire issue, they would have to come down pit road, and Shane unfortunately lost a couple positions on the pit stop and dropped only back from 6th, only about the 8th position, so lost a couple positions. They got to clean that up a little bit on pit road going forward, but still nonetheless didn't lose a ton of ground. Chandler Smith got by him and Chase Elliott got by him on pit road. And then on the restart, chaos started happening in front of them. We all thought that Christopher Bell and Cole Custer were both going to end up wrecking down the back straightaway. They hung on, and he had a really great battle with himself and Chandler Smith. He eventually got by Chandler Smith, and Jesse Love and him started battling really hard, and they battled very hard for 7th position. Going down the back straightaway, Jesse had actually gotten by Shane on the white flag of the race, but Shane got a really great run coming off of turn number 4 and coming off the corner. Shane Van Gisbergen picks up his second top 10 in the last 4 races and finishes in 7th place. Overall, a very, very impressive day. Yes, he did make that mistake by getting in the back of Brandon Jones, but overall for Shane, this is one of the best runs that Shane has legitimately had all year so far. And he continues to get better on ovals on a week-by-week basis. You think about Michigan. He said he had a slow car and was legit running inside the top 15, in the top 10 basically, before the speeding penalty happened, or basically the restart violation happened. At Daytona, he legit had a bad car, but was running inside the top 10 and top 15 near the end, and was up front in contention. And then you think about Indianapolis, where he finished in 4th. He has continued to get better on ovals. We know he's a fantastic road course racer. There is no denying that. But how he's gotten so much better on ovals and the progression of himself as a driver continues to be very, very impressive. And you remember, he's doing the race tomorrow night. He's running the Southern 500, which I think is going to be tough for him because he said he was nearly spinning out on the first lap earlier talking to the media. But he continues to just get better. And the more experience that he gets on these ovals and the more he comes back to this track, considering he finished 15th in the spring and he struggled in the spring race here a lot of that event, but he was really good at the end. He said the second time he comes back out here when he announced he was going cup racing that he wanted to be a lot more aggressive on the racetrack. And he really showed it today. He was super impressive, very, very quick on the long run especially. He nearly got a top 5 today, and had things just gone right, he could have had a shot to win this race, but I think it was going to be hard to beat Sheldon Creed and Chris Rebel by the end of this race. But not only that, I think he might have been the highest finishing rookie in this race as well today, and was before that going to be the highest finishing rookie regardless. He continues to impress me every time he gets behind the wheel, and that's why he's moving up, because I feel like he's ready to make the jump up next year. The one area that he's got to do better at, though, is qualifying. That has been his biggest Achilles heel every time he gets to the track. On road courses, we know he's going to be really good at qualifying. But on the cup, basically on the ovals, he's been struggling at the qualifying side of things. Once they can figure out the qualifying situation and he can qualify a lot better at these ovals, like start qualifying inside of top 15, top 10. If he can do that by the end of the year, I do legit think Shane could go out there and start winning ovals. It would not surprise or shock me if by the end of this year, Shane Van Gisbergen not only has wins on road courses, but wins on ovals. He's been getting up to speed very, very quickly, has been super impressive, and I cannot wait to see him run tomorrow night in the Southern 500. I think he's going to be very, very competitive in the race tomorrow night. But again, it's just so impressive to see what Shane's able to do. He's been the best rookie all year, in my opinion. I think that's the 7th top 10 or 8th top 10 of the year. If you would have told me he had more top 10s than other drivers like Ryan Sieg and those guys, I probably would have laughed at you. He's legit, I believe, inside the top 12 in the standings. He just continues to impress a lot of us on a week-by-week basis, and he did a very great job today. Congratulations to him on a very solid performance in finishing 7th. Very impressive day for Shane Van Gisbergen here at Darlington. So, that is going to be it on the Shane Van Gisbergen race review from Darlington. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support on Patreon as well. Links description below that, and comment your thoughts below on today's episode. How would you think Shane Van Gisbergen performed today at Darlington? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have the starting lineup for the Cookout Southern 500. We'll be talking about drivers like Bubba Wallace, Kyle Busch, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, you name it. And then we're also going to have the race view for the Southern 500 as well. And depending on how SVG does tomorrow, you might see a third video on Shane Van Gisbergen. Monday, we're going to have a NASCAR news video discuss news over the course of the last couple days. Tuesday will be playoff predictions for the NASCAR Cup Series, and we got a lot of great content dropping as we head to Atlanta Motor Speedway. Going to be a really exciting time. I cannot wait to head to Atlanta, so I think it's going to be a very fun race, just like the race was. But I'm also excited for the Southern 500 tomorrow. I think it's going to be a really fun and enjoyable race. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.